Schönes guten Morgen, herzlich willkommen, good morning everybody, and welcome to Königssee in Bavaria, the oldest artificial ice track on the planet. We're ready for the third race weekend of the Women's Skeleton World Cup. Martin Haven and John Morgan trackside at this historic venue. Well, John, a fantastic morning and a great challenge for our athletes.
Well, the track built in 1970, the first ever artificially cooled track, and they've altered it a number of times, but it's short, it's quick, and it's challenging. And up at the top of the track, like every place, you have to be quiet on your sled. Maria Gilardoni from Switzerland with the start record. Could see that fall today. There's a lot of great hard ice. Watch these 4 S's coming up. A right. Shell curve. Look at this. Left, right, left. 4 straight zigzags, as we call them. Then this long straightaway that's got a couple chinks in it. You'll see the athletes bounce off the wall. And now into a big Kreisel curve, turbodrome. Boy, you have to exit here because coming up might be the most pivotal part of the track. Down here, the labyrinth, and not everybody gets through here cleanly. And then this big hard left. Then the C curve into the finish. Boy, a lot of G's. Echo Vond down near the lake. And now you start to go uphill. You can still lose a lot of time here in this uphill stretch. The finish, it's a challenge. It might be one of the shortest tracks on tour. Marion Teese has got the record from a couple years ago. It could fall today.
Yeah, those records definitely could be under threat. It's a beautiful sunny day. We're in the shadow of the Kehlstein mountain. And the track is hard and fast. So far this season, we've had 2 races, 2 first-time winners. Tina Hermann last week, Laura Dees the week before. And with Jacqueline Lerling in 3rd in the standings, yet to win a race, and a whole host of others at the top of the points who have never won a World Cup race. That trend could continue. But will the Germans succeed on home ice? Jacqueline Lerling last weekend in her home track in Winterberg finished in the silver medal position. Tina Hermann, her first win comes to her home track with that confidence behind her. But what about Janine Flock? She's got good pace and good form again this season. Or Lauda Pregelena, there's our season opening winner. Maria Oliver last year was in 3rd position on this track. As we saw Laura Dees from Great Britain, she won 2 weeks ago. And Tina Hermann winning just last week. Sophia Griebel, the 3rd of our German athletes, she would hope for victory here. There's Marina Giardoni, our start record holder. And again, Marina's abilities are getting quicker. Last year, didn't race on this track, Lauda Pregelena, but she goes off 1st in the field this year. And Lauda so far 2 top 6 finishes this year. Jane Channel, 3rd place last week, her first World Cup podium. John, there's so many changes, a couple of new names in the field as well, that we could see a really interesting shake-up in the order again here this week.
Well, the Russians finished 13th, 15th, and 16th last weekend off 2 of the athletes who had the best starts in the field. Very, very surprised at those results. I expect the Russian athletes to do very well here today.
Getting the competition off with a bang, Lauda Pregelena, the 22-year-old Latvian. Before the start of this season, her best World Cup result was 14th. She's had a 5th and a 6th so far this year.
Keep track of that start time and start speed. That's going to be a big indicator. Now these 4 S's. What a challenge. Look at her feet. See if she's totally in control. Now watch her head up. She's looking a little bit.
You've got to take a couple of hits normally on the straightaway in a bobsled. They try and get away with 1 on the run down to the Kreisel, the turbodrome.
Now watch the challenge here. This is not easy coming down through her.
Good run.
Pretty good.
Yeah, she makes it look smooth. You've got to trickle down the middle of those S's.
Well, we talk about taking advantage of the fact that her teammates are the Ducars brothers, and I think she's had a great start to the season, and I expect her to continue to improve if her health stays on pace.
Okay, so a 52.33, the track record 52.01.
I think we got a chance to see that go down today.
We might just do.
If not in the first run, the second run, it's going to get warmer. Here we are in the Kreisel. Look at her toe taps. Look, she's doing a little steering, a little rudder out there in the bottom right. Look up a little higher than she wants to be there because you don't see any runner marks up there. And then the exit. Boy, this is where the athletes have some big eyes on the exit of that curve right there.
Came out of that well, right down the middle of what the Canadians call the doodles.
Good expression.
Yeah. So, next up, Jane Channel from Canada. First ever World Cup podium. I know, stunning artwork on some of these sleds. First ever podium last week, left her in tears of joy. Last year on this track, 13th, and that's how much she's progressed in the last 12 months.
Seventh in the first race in Altenburg, wasn't bad. Then the third, I think she even shocked herself with that. Look at that, 495. She's a great starter.
400s off the start record. You're right about that. That is going to go.
And she's, looks like, win the first time, open up that door, gives you a chance to have a lot of confidence to start winning a lot more. And, boy, huge lead. Little skid there coming out of that S's, and we'll see how much that affects her. 3,500's lead might not be 35 here at this clock. And it's not easy coming in right here. Ooh, got a 20. So she's lost a lot of time back. Now she just wants to get to the finish without losing any more. 112.1.
113.6 was Protolano, so she's dropped behind. And there's that run down the bend away into the Kreisel that cost her the time. And at the line, just 800s back.
But not bad, not a good run though. She, awesome athleticism in the first 50 meters. And then shows a little bit of being a little tentative coming out of the S's. Skidded across the ice in the S's. Wasn't smooth exit of
high in the Kreisel. Goodness me, yeah.
And then this is where she starts to, this is down in the, what we call that, the doodles.
Yeah.
Boy, the big pressure left. So she lost a lot of that start. Boy, she's not far out of the lead. A good second run. Yeah. She could stay in the top 5.
Consistency is key. Laura Dees, winner in Altenburg 2 weeks ago, 11th here in 2015. So what can the 27-year-old from Wrexham in Wales produce this season?
Get ready for a start record right here. This could be the first of a couple. The equestrian athlete.
Yep.
She is an athlete.
491 the start record, 499.
Not as good. Boy, Jane Chanel is really, Jane Chanel is really surprised us with her start this morning. And the big lead, that's relative to the start over the Latvian, but let's see how clean she is here.
Oh, big skid coming onto the bend away, hits the wall hard, and you can see the toes just constantly steering down the straight.
Wade Elena had perfect lines. Let's see if Laura Dees, well, she's high there.
Elena was a kilometre an hour faster, gets a good exit
time. Lost a lot of time back. Speed, 113 clicks. She's going to need it. Doesn't have it. Way off. She's going to lose a lot of time coming up the hill. Wow. So again, it shows you how good of a run down the track that Leila Privodona had. Wow. 2,800s back. Eric Benonis, the coach, looks on. Both the Canadian and Great Britain athletes, way better starts than the Latvian, but the Latvian, better control of her sled coming down the track.
Well, you can see Laura driving hard, and every time you make a correction, it's because the sled is moving sideways. And you'll understand if it's moving sideways, it's not moving forward as efficiently. Hits the wall there, that takes out energy and speed. And look at the toes, left and right.
We saw Prelina
had
come right down the middle of that straightaway.
Yeah, and sometimes when you don't touch the wall, it's because you're driving too much. I think Laura's sled was just a little loose there. She's gone maybe for an aggressive setup on the hard ice.
Okay, here's a Russian rocket.
Yeah,
no,
a Swiss rocket. Marina Giardoni, 8th last year on this track.
Excuse me, this is the track record holder in the first 50 meters. Should be 495 at least.
I've only just stopped calling her Swiss, and now you're calling her Russian.
Yeah.
Stop calling her Italian, rather. So she holds the start record. 492, 100th away.
100th off. Now, every athlete's had the best start consecutively, and they can't hold it down here. It should be 35, 40 hundredths ahead down here. That's clean, 40/100s, there it is. That's clean too.
So a run over something in the track, a little bit of a leaf or something is blown in. It's a blustery day.
Now her nemesis, boy, that's some big speed.
Yeah, but not as much as Predulena. She's a kilometre now down on the labyrinth, who had 1:13.6 on the exit.
She gets 111.5, she might have a chance. 112.
Should hold the lead.
Should hold the lead. Should be close though. Should be right to the 100.
Wow.
Single digits right here. Right to the 100. There,
Oh my goodness. That's a
time.
fantastic start to the race. 2 tied to the 100th of a second in the first 4 sliders.
But boy, it shows you how good a run that the Latvian had though.
Yes, indeed.
Nobody can match her lines in the bottom part of the track or the speed. Predulena has just done it. Now up here, this is a little bit of a tap. This I don't think affects her that much.
There's
Good
Marina,
run.
big smile. She's got the joint lead. Still 3 Germans to come on the German track.
Lodies.
Laura, 2800s back. She's going to make finishing on the podium really tough from that position.
Can I say we're going to have a start record here?
Well, there's a very good chance. Yelena Nikitina, first of our 3 Russians in the field. Nikitina, just 23 years old. Willi Schneider, the coach, also builds the sleds for the Russian team.
Watch this athleticism. Watch her quietly get on the sled and look for gold numbers here.
She does launch
There
so
it is.
well, 4.90.
Okay, now let's see if she can negotiate the track, which no one else has been able to do. Predulena, the Latvian, the only person can come down cleanly. Right here at the exit, but her head's really up. And she's right to left.
Really hard there.
She's gonna have all she can do to beat the green numbers on the exit of Kreisel here. 116.
3 kilometers now down.
Yeah, it's gonna be red numbers here pretty quick. There.
Oh, look at the legs swaying behind
Should
her.
be 110 kilometers probably down here. 108, boy, she's 5 kilometers down. She could be 60, 100, 7,500s down. Breaks the track record at the start and just can't negotiate this tight, quick track. Look at that. Look at Willie. Willie, he might go back to the drawing board, but I don't think that's the equipment. I think that's just the athlete. It shows you how much of a challenge the track is.
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean,
look at how quiet she gets on the left knee. Very surprised at that. But head comes up, gets herself into a, look at the position she's looking at, look at her eyes. And she releases out of the start grooves, and boy, she just eliminated all the way down. The exit of the 4 S's.
look, that massive steer. Normally you see them dragging a toe. She almost had her spikes in the eye. She was using the ball of her foot to steer there. She was in such a state coming on to that bend away, as it's called. Laura Predulena tied for the lead with Marina Giardoni. Neither have ever won a World Cup race. Janine Flock has 5th in this race last year, the 26-year-old. I say last year, it was in January this year, but last season.
But she won on this track the previous year. She won the European Championships on this track.
Indeed.
Second, she was the best European. And she won the World Cup title, but she's had very disappointing results in the first 2 events, 10th and 7th. Decent start. We should see better drive lines here. She's much better at steering the sled down this challenging Königssee track than the previous 3 sleds we've seen come down.
And her start a couple of hundred slower than Laura Predulena.
This is good though.
Already 4/10 back.
That's a skid there.
Huge skid. 116, Laura 119.3.
Way off the pace. Watch out here. She's going to have problems negotiating this. There's her feet coming up. Boy, something. No one's been in control of the sled coming down here. She's way off the pace. She got 2nd here a couple years ago, 5th last year. She'll be lucky to be the top 7.
So this run so far.
6. 6 out of 6. Look at Mickey Gruberger look on, and This is a very, very disappointing run for the athlete who won the World Cup season title last year.
Nearly a second back, and there's only been 6 sleds so far.
Coming out of the S's, and this looks pretty good, but she was already in red numbers.
Yeah, it all went wrong right from very top.
Right here, look how low look her diving down low there, and now on the exit, she has got no choice but to really have to steer here and not enter the curve the way she wants.
Yeah.
And you wonder why she only had 109-kilometer speed. That was it.
Tough slide for Janine Flock. Next up is Sophia Griebel, the 25-year-old from Oberhof in Germany.
She's like the 3rd German slider, and she's ranked 4th in World Cup points.
4th on this track last year as well.
4th and 5th in the first 2 runs, first 2 races.
Now, if we're going to see somebody who can match Lelda Pregelena off a similar start, then you've got to be looking at the German girls. Their knowledge of this track and of the ice conditions is first rate. 300s back.
And not smooth.
Ooh, that's ugly.
Lot of movement. Speed, 3 kilometers down, toe touching there. Kind of reaches she got here in the doodles. 3/10 back.
Wow, she's not half a second back.
14
Well, that's
kilometers.
good speed. That's the fastest we've seen so far. So that will close the gap a little.
Top 6, top 5, top 5.
5th, but 3/10 of a second away.
Boy, on this track, where she's been down probably more than anybody else in the field that's come so far. You know, that's where she is, though. She's 4th and 5th in the first 2 races, but very out of control here. I'm very surprised.
Hits the wall really early there, and then then you're in trouble because you're pinballing all the way down the bend away.
That's not comfortable. And look at the lines here. Look at her toes.
Good form in the Kreisel, but she sags a little low,
Right
and that leaves the last peak is high. Look, she's still really going up as the drive lines are going down.
Now they weigh the sleds in the first run.
Hat off, Sofal. No extra kilos from your hat. Well, Sophia Griebel's had a shot. What about 20-year-old Jacqueline Lurling? She's never started a World Cup race here. 3rd in the World Cup standings. I mean, talk about a breakout start to the season for this girl.
Probably gets one of the worst starts in the field, but she has got talent like the track record holder had, Marion Thies of Germany. Tallest women in the field right here.
2015 World Championship silver medalist, and she's the reigning Youth Olympic champion in women's skeleton.
Now, we don't want to jinx her, but we know she can drive. Marion Thies used to have the worst start and won the World Championships here in 2011. That's the track record. It was just amazing to watch her manufacture speed, and this young 21-year-old athlete, 20-year-old athlete, talent. Let's see if she can keep it within 2/10 here. Speed. Awesome.
Good speed. The first girl who's gone quicker than Pregelena. 1:16.6 is the magic number at the bottom, but that's a bit rocky.
Yeah, but the speed here, if she gets this up, 114.7 is good speed.
Fastest.
She could eat into it. She could get to the right to the hundreds again.
For the lead. Here we go. And learning by 600s. Wow.
That's just like Marion Thies. Jens Mueller smiles. He knows. This is a Marion Thies right here. No start. Tremendous glider down the track.
Yeah.
She somehow finds a way to improve her start time. It could be pretty tough.
Gives away 1500s at the start. That should be 4500s down at the bottom. And despite getting wild through the labyrinth at the bottom, she somehow managed to find the extra pace. And that height, the length of the body, that really works well for her. She carries her mass very aerodynamically. Jacqueline Lurling has the lead.
She's the tallest and maybe one of the heaviest athletes in the field, which has a lot to do with Mother Nature, gravity, and why she's the fastest on the bottom of the track.
One of the youngest athletes in the field up now, 20-year-old Kim Meilmans from Belgium. Didn't race in the World Cup last year. Her first senior level appearance was in the World Championships in Winterberg.
Finished 10th in the World Championships in Winterberg on her first time we saw her. She finished 9th in Altenburg, 10th last weekend, so she's pretty consistent in where she's finishing. So, huge lead, but that's because of the start deficiency that Jacqueline Rowling. But what down here, Rowling is magical speeds. This is pretty good, though.
Couple of taps, there's a skid long slide going.
Yeah, she's going to lose a lot. She'll be red numbers here probably in the exit.
4 kilometers down in the Kreisel.
Red numbers coming up next change. There it is.
Seen worse runs through the lower labyrinth.
Real low in the speed.
Yeah, speed is
a couple kilometers down. Now the question is, you know, she's a 9th, 10th place finisher in her first 3 races we've seen her, and here she is posting the 7th best time. So that, she'll take that.
100th ahead of Elaine in the Ketener. Martin Rettel helping out with the coaching for Kim Marmans of Belgium.
It was pretty good. She didn't have a great entry into Kreisel, and Kreisel did not have a consistent line, but she held on. That's a pretty good finish right there.
It's this straightaway that causes so much trouble.
And she hit hard there. Now watch the legs come out. Watch the legs sit. She's falling a little bit out of control right there. Look at the leg drag right there. And that set her up. And this is the exit now of Kreisel. And that wasn't smooth.
Head tucked right down there. She knew where the line was. She knew it wasn't going to hurt. It wasn't going to be a big impact. So her head was right down, face staring at the ice.
Pretty brave line, I'd say.
Yeah. And confident as well. That's not a bad-looking run. Again,
best heat of her career.
Yeah.
Her young career.
So next up, Tina Hermann on her home track, fresh off her first ever World Cup win. Stand back.
She drew number 10 at the, which is unfortunate, being the last of the first seed, the top 10 draw, right out of a hat. She drew number 10. Doesn't have the ice that Craig Jolene of Latvia had to work with, but she's got a great, the best German start of the 3. And she's 3/10 ahead
on Jacqueline Lerling, her teammate.
Now, I don't know if she can lose this back, especially the way she's been driving a sled. Let's watch for her body lean, her feet. She looks pretty good there. Speed, 119, 120. That's way better than anybody else. Now the challenge. Can she hold the speed down here? Well, she's blowing the field away.
Yeah, stunning looking run from Tina Hermann.
Maybe a track record here.
Fastest by miles, track record is 52.01. Are we going to get a new track record to take it away from Marion?
Yes!
By a country mile. 4/10 of a second quicker.
Well, that coming out party was last weekend for Tina Hermann.
We are looking at our very likely race winner. Look at that.
Finished no worse than 6th last year. 2nd World Cup points. Almost won the World Cup title. I think she's gaining a little confidence in the first 3 races this year. Look at the quiet entry. Look at her. She didn't put any knees on the sled. She got on the sled with her hips first. Very quiet load, very athletic load. And, they had a decent start time, but the drive down the track was why she got the track record.
64 hundredths clear of the field.
Now she's just weighing in there. She was looking at the clock.
Tina Hermann leads by a country mile from teammate Jacqueline Lerling. Lelda Pregelena, Marina Giardoni tied for 3rd. Elizabeth Arche didn't race here last year either. She had a concussion issue and missed out on the race here. 21-year-old Canadian then having her first World Cup start in Königssee.
13th in Altenburg, 9th last week in Winterberg. And, starting off the season slowly. We thought she would be doing better than she has. And
500ths off the lead of a sensational run from Tina Hermann. Wow.
See if she can hold the speeds. Good, 2nd best speed. So a little higher. Watch out here. She lost everything right there.
Yeah.
She was flying. Now she's questioning, can she get 112 speed? 110. She's down 5 kilometers in speed, 2.5, 3 miles an hour. Now she's just top 10 if she's lucky.
But huge problems in the Kreisel, but the top half of the run looked like it could put her right in the frame for the win.
She could have been in there in the top 3 easy, but look how far up she comes. Well, look how high she is there. She had second best speed, but coming out, she couldn't control the speed out of the Kreisel. Bang. This is some imposing little chicane down here. And how not to do it. And I'm sure her coaches will tell her, look at her attitude, though.
But again, if
she's got a great attitude.
If she'd steered 100th of a second later off the Kreisel, she'd have missed that inside wall and just shot right down the middle like greased lightning.
Would have been top 3.
Happy birthday to Yulia Kanakina. She is 20 today.
20.
Big smile from the birthday. I know. They're getting younger and younger, just like policemen.
And she's awesome starter. The former ballet athlete. Look at the technique with the hands. Watch her, so quick to dive on the sled. They're so diminutive, her and Nicotina. Look at that, 499, great start, but like her teammate, she's inexperienced. And I think she's going to have all she can do to come down this track straight.
Yeah, in 2 World Cup races at the beginning of last season in North America, and then the rest of the season in Intercontinental Cup.
Something's flapping on the bottom of that sled.
Now that's her chin strap on the helmet.
No, it should not. That's aerodynamic.
Whoa, hugely high in the middle of the Kreisel again. Same problem as Elizabeth, actually, and same result. Huge hit on the short wall as she comes down hard and early.
This is hard ice compared to what they were practicing with. It was raining the first couple of days of training, so the ice was soft, and they're going much faster than they were in training, so it's hard to practice for the speed that you don't get in training.
Much faster and with less control.
Well, that's pretty much what she did last week, too. Great starts. 8th in the first week in Altenburg, which is really tough. 15th last week, and she'll probably be 15th, 17th this week. But she's not hurt, at least.
She's only been on ice for this is her 4th full season.
Oh, look how high. No one's that high in the Kreisel, and then she dives out, and she gets greeted by that sidewall, head up, and now she's just struggling to get through this chicane.
And that sidewall comes at your shoulder at 70-odd miles an hour. That's hurting a lot.
Not happy.
Next up is Annie O'Shea of the USA, 9th in the 2015 race, January this year, the 28-year-old now for USA. She's the experienced slider of the 2 North American girls.
One of the best videos we ever got in the chicane was Annie O'Shea about 8 years ago, flying off the sled. Let's hope we don't see it here. She was 12th in the first race, 11th last week. Good athlete, she's experienced. It's time for Annie to start moving up in the standings.
Yep.
Good speed. See if she can get out of the S's without having to drag her toes, hit the walls. Nope, there's the toe drag.
One steer, but not too much of a hit on the wall. Let's see how she comes into the Kreisel out of Vienna.
Speed's pretty good.
Yes, it is. Line's pretty decent. Starting to get higher in the Kreisel, though. And the exit just brushes the short wall, and that's a good run down through the lower labyrinth.
A lot better than we saw her about 8 years ago when she flew through the air separated from her sled.
1:11.6, not the best speed, but this should put her firmly inside the top 10. 7th place, maybe.
Top 7th, 8th. This might be her best heat of the season.
9th place.
Well, you know, she was 11th and then 10th. Coach Tuffy Latour looks on and says, my 12th and 11th, first 2 races. So she's got a chance to get herself into her first top 10 of the season. All she wants to do, she told me, is improve every week.
Half a second first to second, and then less than a second from second to 10th.
Good form here. Look at the toes. A little rudder exchange there. Now she goes, I have to get off this curve. I'm too high. And she's really snuck through there without much air.
Had a little skid, and it just brushed up against the edge of the fillet in the track where the wall meets the ground. So, had worse runs by some margin. Next up, Great Britain's Donna Crichton won the Intercontinental Cup last year. She didn't race here in the World Cup. She did in ICC. So the 30-year-old enjoying the winter market here, and Krampus came to visit.
Good athlete at the start. We've seen her for a number of years out here on the World Cup. Look at the eyes. Great, 502.
Puts her right in the frame.
You know, and she's got the experience. You know, as you said, won the ICC, which is one of the 3 tours for skeleton development. And there's certain rules and regulations before you come to the big tour.
Oh, nicely through the Schlangengruber, but a big skid onto the bend away. Now, how much is that going to hurt her? Top speed here, 119. She's got 116. To be in the top half dozen, you need 118 there, and again, a little bit of a wild ride.
Fighting. Well, there's a lot of people have done it. No speed, 5-6 kilometers down to the best speed. Now she's going to have all she can do to stay in the top 7, maybe top 8, if she holds on. 10th. Boy, she lost 3/10 in the last 300 meters coming up the hill.
Well, that's all that speed gone sideways through the labyrinth.
Well, you know, she was 11th in the first week, 14th in the second week. This is pretty much on cue what she's done the first 2 weeks of the year.
Yep.
But here's where her mistake was. You called it, coming out of the 4 S's, and that's not the way you want to come down an ice track, skidding across the ice. And she recovered well, but boy, she lost a lot. And then here, you can just tell she's not comfortable, and it's not smooth.
You just get flung around like you're in some kind of laundromat down there. And it's just hanging on to the sled. So following Donna down the track comes Kendall Wissenberg from the USA, 25-year-old, in only her 3rd ever World Cup race. Shouted off the top by Tuffy Latour.
You know, doesn't get starts, but, you know, pretty impressive. Her first 2 World Cups. You can obviously see why she qualified number 2 for the U.S. In the trials. Good speeds on the bottom part of the track.
Yeah, real mature head on her shoulders as well. She's taking all of this in her stride.
18th in the first race in Altenburg, but 12th in Winterberg. And she gets into the 118 speed here. She has a chance for a top 10.
Of course, they're new to us in World Cup, but these athletes have all raced on most of these tracks in the lower divisions.
Whoa! Watch out.
Yeah,
she gets not bad.
Off the sled.
She didn't do bad there. Now 112 speed should put her in the top 10. Oh, 110. So now she's going to be fighting uphill here.
10th,
full second
12th
down.
Maybe.
Yeah. 10th to 11th. Uphill really slows down. 10th. Hey, listen, that's her best run in World Cup competition. Tuffy Latour knows it. Tuffy's father, coach, his grandfather competed at the 48 Olympic Games in St. Moritz. Wow. Tuffy's got a little history in the sliding sport.
And he loves his history as well.
Yeah. Look how high she is, though. She had 118 kilometer speed, which was pretty good. That's 73 miles an hour. But on the exit of Kreisel, she needed another.
Yeah. She got thrown off the sled.
2 feet more. She would have missed that straight wall.
The U.S. skeleton team has 2 experienced athletes and 2 first-time rookies. Tina Hermann, Jacqueline Lerling, 1-2 for Germany, but plenty of room between them. Maria Oliver of Russia took a bronze medal here last year in January, hot off the back of her first ever World Cup win. But can the 27-year-old from Russia rescue the form that has sagged since the beginning of this season?
No! 14th and 16th in the first 2 weeks of an athlete who won in the World Cup Tour last year, including at Altenburg, where this year she finished 14th. The Russian skeleton team, the female athletes, have been very perplexing in regards to their great starts. They have great equipment. They've won before, and they just can't finish anybody in the top 10.
100th off the lead of Jacqueline Lerling.
That's a good line there.
Yeah.
118 speed.
Come on, here we go.
No, look at that. No speed. So it doesn't matter what she does here.
Again, oh, now she's got a good line, so this won't put her in the lead, but that alone could bring her up 5 or 6 positions.
I like the speed. Look at only 110 kilometers.
No, I don't like the speed either. I'm sure Billy Schneider won't.
No, this is going to drop her. She's going to be out of the top 10 here. Maybe ninth.
Into the 10, 11, 53.01.
No speed, 110 kilometers, 116 in Kreisel. Good starts, all 3 Russian sleds. Tells me that Willie Schneider is tested.
Yeah.
He's tested because these Russian athletes with their start times, especially this one here, bronze medal in this track last year, gold in Altenburg, and she's finishing out of the top 10. Yeah, testing, and more testing, and at the athlete's results expense.
Yeah.
You know, it's better to test now and be great in Innsbruck at the World Championships than to just go through the season with the same equipment from last year. Look at the eyes. Yeah, just let's go 80 miles an hour down a little track on a train.
When this track was built, the Beatles were still playing together. Next up, 19-year-old Corinna Meyer, 16th in her rookie season on this track last year. Let's see what a difference between January and December 2015 has made.
16th and 20th at the first 2 events so far this season. Start time, 15th best. That's not, only 2 people are worse. Well, let's see if another young athlete, she can maintain a line. Schellenberger, she's out of those 4 S's with a little bit of a skid. Speed, 3 kilometers down. Exit. Not too bad.
Nice looking line. How much did she have to steer to get it? Speed, 111. That's not bad.
No, it's better than a lap.
Off the 15th best start, will she be in the top 10 at the end of this run? Little toe drag there. And uphill to the line, no, 16th place. So maybe she looked controlled because she had gone for a runner that cut the ice to give her that control and that feeling of security. The runners underneath are like a rocking chair. They've got a small contact patch. The smaller it is, the less friction, the faster you go on hard ice, but the skiddier the sled is and harder to control.
I think a lot of people will identify with that. They call it the rock.
Yep.
And the rock, it's the same thing like in hydroplane racing or whatever. It's what comes in contact with the ice. The longer the rock, the slower you are.
Yep. The more drag there is, but the more stable it is, and maybe she's gone that way for confidence. So Corinna Meyer of Austria. And next up is Joske Leconte, a 28-year-old from the Netherlands. Mid-season last year, changed to a Bromley sled, and this was really one of the high points. She was 7th on the track here in Königssee in January. Still on the Bromley sled, and let's see if she can produce that form again.
5:08, 5:10 start. Normal resume, 5:19. That's, boy, I thought she'd be doing better than that. She hit that take on the curve well hard. Speed isn't that bad. Let's see if she can negotiate cleanly out of the S's.
She was only 600ths off the leader, Tina Hermann, at the start, but ping-pongs her way down the track.
118 speed, no, doesn't have that.
Big steer as well, and very big height in the Kreisel on that second run, on the second pressure. And as a result, she flies through the labyrinth.
Head was way up on the exit of Kreisel. Speed, she's 7 kilometers down. Now she's got to go uphill with this. No speed, you lose more. 17th, tied with the Russian Kanakina, so I think that if these two don't, if the other athletes come down and beat them, that means we're going to have 21 sleds in the field.
We might.
Because there's 21 total. Look at how wide her feet are apart. And then look at these. This is 75 miles an hour, you know, just on a tray.
So we have a very close battle. She is tied, as you said, with Julia Kanakina, the birthday girl, 200ths behind Corinna Meyer, who's in 16th spot. Next up with the Swiss flag on her sled is 28-year-old Michaela Widmer. Again, didn't race in the World Cup last year. Formerly slid for Canada. And now, because of her Swiss heritage, she is sliding for Switzerland, as you see. Beautiful livery on the tray of her Bromley sled.
Nice artwork, a lot of these, not only the sleds, but the helmets. There's a little personality to these athletes.
19th of 22 sleds in the field, Michaela Widmer for Switzerland. Look at the lion on the helmet. 5:29 getaway, that's the slowest in the field so far.
She's 17th and 19th in her first 2 World Cups. So anything in her, we talk about her feet always being apart. She slides a little bit like that Katie Eulander. Katie Eulander was always fast with that feet apart look, like right there. Boy, a lot of steering there.
Yeah. It's such a personal thing, this. I mean, from the livery on the sleds, the artwork on the helmet, to their sliding style. Whatever works, works, and it doesn't necessarily work for anybody else.
Uphill with no speed. Well, she's
going to struggle to make the race. There are 2 athletes in our field at 22 who won't make the second cut, and at the moment, Michaela Widmer 19th.
So that puts in LeConte and Katakina. No, that puts them in.
Oh, yeah, because they'll be
tied no matter what,
19 people. Yeah.
So LeConte and Katakina will get the second runs. And watch the feet apart here. Tap, and then toe touching, and friction, and noise, and uncomfortable, and not all of the assets that you want to go fast. Head's way up, which my head would be up too if I was on the exit of that Kreisel.
Yeah. And we'd be doing a lot more hits all the way down. They make it look so easy, but like skaters on ice, it's only when it goes wrong you realise how tough it is. 20th of our starters then is Jacqueline Narracott from Australia. The Queensland girl didn't race here last season in World Cup. Green and gold of Australia on the sled, and on the underside, the maroon of her state of origin, Queensland.
21st and 18th so far. Didn't make the race in Altenburg, but made it last week in Wittenberg with one of their first heat was her best heat of her career.
Yeah. 5:13, good getaway. That's a top 10 start. And that puts her in the frame with the leader. But Tina Hermann just produced maybe the run of her career so far, and that is a slide all the way down the straightaway for Jacqueline Narracott.
Oh, she's late there too. She means watch her struggling through here. You see a lot of noise. Listen to the noise.
No height in the Kreisel because she had no speed relative to the leaders. 4 or 5 kilometers an hour doesn't sound like a big difference, but it's huge to the way the sled reacts. And this could leave her in danger at the moment. 16th, 17 on the split, 17th.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
She's only 100th ahead of Joska LeConte. She's 100th.
Yeah, behind Karina Meyer. So that's 4 athletes covered by 200ths of a second.
There's a tie. LeConte and Katakina are tied, so 4 athletes, 100th, 200ths. And this is where it started to slow down.
Look at this, it's just yawing from one side to the other. No control there on the straight, just can't get it to stop sliding. And it's just magnetically attracted to the wall, and that drags speed out as well.
Exit a Kreisel, and you hit that straight wall, and then you're forced to go in the other direction.
Yeah. Rocky ride. It's the oldest ice track, the oldest artificial ice track, and the best known, but still one of the toughest. Next up, our World Cup debutante, Katie Tannenbaum, the 30-year-old from St. John's in the Virgin Islands. Mathematician, has done 2 World Championships, but has never raced in the World Cup before. Welcome to the big show, Katie. She's got experience on this track in Europa Cup and ICC.
Well, she's going to have some magical lines here to make this cut with that start time, but you know, a good line won't put her in the field because there's been a lot of bad lines. And boy, was she high in that first X. We'll see if that penalizes her. She can't catch up. and sure, she's going to come out and hit the wall.
Yep.
She was late in the first S, and she never caught up.
Wrong slides again.
And that late in the S, she hit the wall on the exit of them, and then she skidded all the way down the straightaway with a bad line. So it compounded.
Well, she was saying her ambition for the weekend was to get down safely. Making the second cut would be a dream on her first race in the World Cup.
No, not going to happen now.
Isn't going to happen. Getting down safely is really part of the big thing here as well. It's not a given. 55.22 for Katie Tannenbaum. She was saying the difference in performance between even the Intercontinental Cup and World Cup is staggering.
Well, the exit of the S's, she made that mistake in the first S, and she's still got a mistake going. No rhythm. That's what those S's do. They give you the rhythm to come down the straightaway, and she missed the first S, and she never caught up.
And everyone in St. Thomas, I'll be home tomorrow.
I said St. John's, I meant St. Thomas, of course I did. Home tomorrow?
Yeah.
Well, she got Concorde on standby?
Yeah.
So Maria Mazalou of Romania is our 22nd and final slider, looking to try and make the cut here from the backfield. 20th on this track in January. She made the cut into the second heat. Let's see if she can do it again.
Gonna need a 18th place start, 17th place start, 17th, it's not bad. Speed, oh, big bump there. Look at that entrance to one. She erased a lot of her momentum right there. Cost her a couple tenths of a kilometer. And now the S's, can she get through the S's clean and the exit without her feet coming apart?
Not a bad run onto the bend away. Not bad at all.
116 kilometer speed would be good for her.
She is right on the bubble at the moment.
Ooh, that's too high. Watch out here in the exit.
Oh, just gets away with that, but she had to work really hard in the Kreisel for it. Scrabbling to hang on, down to the top 20.
Now she's really struggling.
This could be very close indeed to get ahead of Michaela Widmer and make it into the race. She's got to be within 2 seconds of the leader, and she's not.
2300ths off the pace.
So she joins Katie Tannenbaum on the sidelines. I guess she's probably not going to join her in the Virgin Islands tomorrow. But Maria Mazalou of Romania will not make the cut here in Königssee.
Look, she's the highest athlete we saw in the Kreisel.
I think she was up in the boards.
Yeah, and then the heads up right here. And then she's, of course, Ricochet Rabbit down on the chicane. The doodles, as the Canadians call them. And wasn't bad run until she got into the Kreisel.
Yeah. So many people carrying so much speed and that second pressure, so much height. But the girl that had it all sorted out set a track record last week. Her first ever win put her as the World Cup leader. And Tina Hermann leads from her teammate Jacqueline Lurling by 64 hundredths of a second. That's a two-heat winning margin of impressive dominance in one heat.
She's feeling it.
Yeah.
I think we have a little coming out party this season for this Tina Hermann.
Tina Hermann on home ice after her first win, leads by 64 hundredths. Lauda Pregilano, Marina Giardoni very close behind Jacqueline Lurling. And 78 hundredths in fifth place, not far away either. Jane Channel looking for her second consecutive podium. And down towards the tail of the field, hugely tight groups of athletes. As we get to Michaela Widmer, hangs on in 20th. Maria Mazalou of Romania and Katie Tannenbaum of the Virgin Islands will join the fans on the sidelines for our second heat. So join John Morgan and me, Martin Haven, for Heat 2, coming up in just over 30 minutes, live from Königssee in Bavaria.